Carolina, you mentioned this, and so did you, Karen, about visualizing your dives. And I know that's something I do too with my photography dives. I guess the question's for both of you, like, how much of a role do you think it plays? Like, in doing such a deep dive like that, do you spend a lot of time visualizing your dive? And same thing, like, do you think that really helps lead to the success in what you accomplish?
Yeah, I think for me it's life-changing when I started doing this visualization, especially in real time. So my body knows exactly what the time the things happen. So it's life-changing for my dives.
Do you do movements too? Like,
I do some, I do like equalization things and some movements to put the air. I move the air to the chest, to the nose and the ears. So yeah, I'm moving.
Yeah, and I think the same applies to those kind of dives. I don't know how many times I ran the dive through my head. Also, you know, where am I going to stop? Where am I clipping stages? You want all of that to go smoothly. You want to know where everything is at any point in time in the dive. So yeah, definitely.
When you've got such, this is for Carolina and Karen, when you've got such focused goals, how hard is it to say, nope, time is enough, and call a stop?
I think it is hard, and I think sometimes you have to take a step back, and I think leading up to doing those dives, I realized at some point we were so focused on getting the goals and getting the build-up dives that there were times where we actually probably shouldn't have done. Things maybe weren't going 100%, and in retrospect you see that afterwards. But yes, no, sometimes you do get a little bit task fixated and a little bit focused, and it actually can be quite dangerous. You need to be able to take a step back and look at the bigger picture, and maybe at some point say, you know, maybe enough is enough, right?
Yeah, one of the things I learned about this, it's now I have a coach, because normally I am my own coach, so it's difficult to have to do a coach and to do like the athlete mode. So now I have a coach to tell me exactly what I need to do, because sometimes you wanted to do more, or you think you feel okay, and you feel okay, but it's the scenario, it's not 100%. So it's really nice to have a team, to have a coach to say something.
I want to ask a question to Karen. It's the obvious question. Maybe you can reply not with the obvious answer, but why do you do it?
I think that's quite a hard question to answer. I've always been attracted to diving deep. It's something that excites me. It's something that challenges me. And it's not just about the dive. It's about the planning behind the dive. You know, planning the decompression schedules, planning the logistics. It's the whole package that I enjoy. I have, from very early in my diving career, had, for some or other reason, a target of 250 meters. And that's been a goal that I've worked for a very long time to achieve. But I can't explain why. It's something that gets me out of bed in the morning.
Yeah, I think we have some things with numbers, isn't it? Like, you think about a number. I know, because for me, like 100 meters was a number to achieve, to pass those. It's like a number, like the 99. The first time I beat the 100, I did my surface protocol, and then Kirk asked me, like, look your gauge, and I look and I'm like, oh, it's 99.9. I need to do it again. So 2 days after, I did 101, just to make sure I have 100 in my computer.
Okay, thank you, both of you. It's amazing to know that people do that. Garrett stole my question. I have one thing to say to you, Karen, though. That shows, I really like the presentation where you showed the 231 meters and the 246. I think it requires incredible discipline to be within like arm's length of your goal, and still recognizing that you have to turn around, otherwise you won't come back, right? Even though you still have 8 hours of decompression ahead of you. So thank you for doing that. So my question for both of you is, what's next? Do you have anything planned, and what's your next adventure?
I think for me, I'm going to say I don't have anything planned. I think, speaking to what Gareth was saying, it's time to take a bit of a step back and reflect on you know, do 246 is very close to 250. Are you going to go through all of that for 4 meters? You know, it's about having a look at the bigger picture. So at the moment, nothing big in terms of depth planned.
I always have something. Yeah, I'm planning to go deeper. Yeah, I just spent 2, and a lot of people think we know everything about it, like in my case, like freediving. But I spent 2 months and a half in Egypt trying to figure out a new equalization, so a new type of equalization, and I spent like 45 days like diving every day to figure out and to think like, okay, it's okay, I can do another equalization, because I passed like the last 10 years doing the same thing. So it's really hard to move, to change, but it's coming.
Hi guys over here. Many thanks to all of you for your presentations. I have a question about freediving and scooters, if you don't mind. Obviously scooters are pretty mainstream in scuba. In freediving they seem to be having more of an emergence. At what level of freediver would you say that it's suitable to introduce them to using a scooter? And when they do, is there any specific skills that a freediver with a scooter needs that is different than a scuba diver with scooter?
Yeah, I think it's different. And you need to have a high level, I think, to not just to play around, but to do like a safety with the scooter. You need to have the ability to come back without a scooter if you need it, and know how to use the scooter properly. So we normally use with the harness, and we train a lot before. That's why I use the scooter for training. So it's not a fun. I'm not using for safety. I'm using for training. But we have a lot of good freedivers using the scooter like a really good tool for a safety point of view. It's really nice.
Carolina, thank you very much for all of your presentations. Carolina, what I really enjoyed was the start of your presentation where you said that, or where obviously you're very accomplished in free diving, also in scuba diving, cave diving. What I was wondering, apart from this being amazing because there's generally quite a divide between those, people focus on one and maybe not so much the others. For you, how do you divide your time and attention and practice, etc., over all those different ones? Is there one that has kind of the front stage, or how do you manage that? Because for me personally, that would be impossible.
Well, now I dedicate myself to freediving most of the time, but my vacation time, it's going to Mexico and do some cave dives. So I love it too, but now I'm dedicating myself with the free dive. So I get step by step, like start with the recreational scuba and then do all the courses I have at the time. And I love cave diving, always love it. And I did the technical dive, but I enjoy it, but I want to propose to do it. I'm not just going down for not reason. But I really enjoy the free diving most. So now I'm dedicate like 90% of my time. But I'm still a scuba instructor, and sometimes I teach. Sometimes. You're welcome.
Great. I have 2 questions, one for you, Karen, and one for you, Carol. Karen, I noticed that you had the SOS portable chamber on your expedition. I remember from way back in the day them coming out and me thinking, God, every dive boat, every big expedition will have a portable chamber. Why wouldn't you? They're not expensive. What led you to bring it on your expedition, and is this a regular part of your, cave diving expedition on big dives?
Yeah, so getting a chamber in South Africa is not the easiest thing. There's not many of them around. So what we had available was a one-man chamber. All our serious deep dives, we make sure we have it on site. We have a chamber operator there. It's only rated to, I think it's 2 or 3 atmospheres, so probably it's better than having nothing there. Yeah.
Cool. And Carol, for you, the question, you didn't address it in your talk, but I know you know about it. Technical freediving, pre-breathing mixes, etc. Is that emerging? Is it a thing? Is it kind of on hold? Where do you see that?
Well, I think it's a thing. Yeah, it's coming because we are using the technical freediving for shooting, filming. So we use in Cayman Islands to do like a scene for 3 minutes on 20 meters in a wreck with like 5 freedivers at the same time. And the cameraman, it's a freediving too. So we use it and it works super well. So yeah. We normally use for shallow, like 20 meters or something like that, just to increase the time and make everything in the same pace. Because it's not easy to manage like 6 or 7 freedivers at the same time doing a scene inside the wreck. So we use for this too. And for recovery, for safety divers, so they use oxygen between dives when they are a rotation of the safety freedivers. It's coming. It's good.
Hi. Picking up on the presentation from Jean-Claude earlier, when he clearly mentioned that we in the dive industry, we need to diversify. I have a question for you, Carolina. Myself as a scuba instructor and also a freediver, I felt that when I started to become a freediver, I became a better scuba instructor. Do you agree? Do you went over that path? Is this something that was you agree?
Yeah. I think freediver is a tool. I use the freediving, the skills of freediving, like a tool, like a personal tool for life, not only for diving. But I think it's more to look into yourself when you freedive, so you know you're better. You know, like inside, you can focus in yourself more. So you have the ability to know exactly how to breathe and how your body works. So I think it's a good tool for everything. And normally, I recommend freediver for all of the scuba instructors, at least to know exactly what it is, because a lot of people think it's just a better snorkeler or something like that, and it's a lot of things more than this. So I agree with you. It's a really good tool.
I have a question for Paulo. So being a scuba diver and diving in our waters, I always wondered if there's some kind of connection that the Life Saving Institute can make with the diving community. First, because we are always in the water and underwater. And the second question, so how do you see a close relationship between the diving community and the Life Saving Institute? And a second question for you too is that it's something that I sometimes wonder, because I think you are in charge of rescue on the surface, but being a diver, usually we are not on the surface. Of course, trouble can happen on the surface, but we are in the water. So what is the positioning of Life Saving Institute towards rescuing divers underwater?
Oh, tricky question, right? First of all, thank you for the question, actually. One of the things that I noticed in both presentations of Karen and Carol was the concern about safety. I think this is paramount, and if I can give you a word in my experience, more or less, safety is paramount. So you cannot dive without assure that actually you can be, if you have a problem, you have to go out very, very quick and to be assistant or to have an assistance in few minutes. Otherwise, you should have a problem. So one of the fights that I always had was to make sure that people that dive, because there is a risk, and we have to mitigate this risk. So we should actually act like this, and we have to consider this. And sometimes we have to consider our limitations in our country, because actually in our country there are some limitations. We have to assume that. One of these limitations, it's a restraint, is actually linked with our institute. I have to assume that. I don't have any problems with that. Fortunately, we have a lot of crew members. There are divers as well, so they know how to act. It's a difference. Our country and our politicians have to assume that, actually. We are a coastal state, we have responsibilities. This is a responsibility. And we have to give conditions to the people to act. So, for sure, if we have a problem, any kind of problem, we have to have a plan. And we have to have a plan E and a plan B, because on the first one sometimes doesn't work. So this link with the diving community, it's obvious. I don't think there is, because our institute and the Maritime Authority is supported by the Navy, there is always, from the past, in our past, everybody knows our country, there is a common past and link to the Portuguese divers, okay, what they did. Fortunately, this responsibility, this knowledge, and all of the technical parts of everything, they develop in different ways, and we have to make sure that should be someone in the top of this that actually can link all of this. I think the Institute has this role, and we have to invest on this role, and I think it's very important. That's the way I see it.
Any more questions? Maybe one more. John. After this, we will go for the lunch break.
Karen, you mentioned the thought of failure, and in your planning process, you were always so concentrated you never considered it. Are you putting now any kind of moment in your structure to script an analysis of the success or failure of your project, so that you could say, we need to adjust or we need to cancel this?
Yeah, so I think, there was a lot of lessons learned after the first dive that we did, and the team that I work with are also, they keep me in check. We have sort of feedback, what worked, what didn't work. So we do that after all of the dives. And I think it's hard not to be goal-orientated, but I think it helps having the support of the people around you that can tell you, okay, you know what, we can't do this, or we need to stop, or we need to take a step back. So I think, listening also to those people is a key lesson learned. The team members have obviously your best interest also at heart. So sometimes when someone's saying, "Whoa, slow down," then you need to listen to that and take a step back. But yeah, no. After all of these, as I said, we do I guess a deep dive into what happened, what led up to it. We meet as a team, what worked, what didn't work, and everyone's open to put their feedback in, and we take that away and use that for any sort of, not even dives like this, but any future sort of tech dives or cave dives that we do, we try and work that in.
Thank you very much, Carolina. Thank you very much, Karen. Thank you very much, Paulo.